Hey, everybody, welcome to Old Fashioned Catholics. I'm Nick,
I'm Kevin.
and we are Catholics who like to drink old fashions.
If this is your first time checking out our show, we like to discuss topics that are relevant in our own lives or things that just interest us while we share drinks as friends. You are welcome to join along with us with an alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage. We're going to put what each of us are drinking, including our guest, on the screen, and you can copy it or do something on your own. Pause it now.
And we're back.
So, Nick,
Whoa.
who do we have here tonight? This beautiful baby-faced gentleman.
Clean shaven. I don't know, Irishman. I'm not sure if you're Irish or not, but he's got the shirt on. So this is the chief executive officer. What are you? You're the chief executive, right?
We'll go with executive director.
He's the executive director. Changes by the minute. This is Stephen Henley. He's going to tell us a little bit about what he does just for a couple of minutes. And it's good to have you on. This is actually the second time we filmed this. Way back when we started Old Fashioned Catholics, he was one of the first people we ever interviewed. And I had not figured out the tech on my end. Kevin was great. Stephen was awesome. He was in front of a fire. He was all loungy and good. And He had a beard. I'm glad I didn't grow one for this. I mean, you still looks like it. That's okay. So anyway,
not exclusive.
Yeah, we said we'd try it again. So here we are again. This is Stephen Henley. We should start off first of all by each saying what we're drinking. Well, Kevin, go first, then Nick and Stephen. So go ahead, Kevin. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Brandy Manhattan. I love it very much with orange bitters instead of regular.
I think I introduced you to that drink, right?
You didn't even know it.
No, yeah. I know. Okay. I laughed. I'm drinking kind of a normal one, 4 dashes of bitters and 1 cherry and crushed sugar cube. And it's the Evan Williams, but I was laughing. I don't know if this is just in Minnesota in the little plastic bottle, but they got the outdoorsman edition. So
bring it to the tree stand.
I know you can bring it with you and just kick this in the stand.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Outdoorsman. That means like the tailgating.
Yeah. Well, up here, I don't know, Kevin, we had lost all of our snow and then we just got a snowstorm the other day. We woke up and it was snowing and then it was 61 today. So, okay. Then, so Stephen, what are you drinking?
I am drinking an old fashioned. It's called Bernie's Old Fashioned. And last time I was on with you, it was a recipe a friend had given me. And he has upped his game because just recently I received his new bitters that have his face on them.
What?
It says Bernie's Old Fashioned. This is what is this?
Seriously, Sage?
This is the guy. This is Bernie, and it's his old fashioned.
It's his old fashioned, and he's a phenomenal guy. He actually has a patent for braces for kids that have deformed legs. He's a really, really awesome guy. His story is really neat. He's a former Army Ranger, but anyways. Really good old fashioned. So that is what I'm drinking in my Mad Men cup. I don't know for
dude. Yep. Nick, we need to send Steven some money, and he needs to ship us some Bernie's bitters because I don't think that exists up here.
So is that just in Ann Arbor area, or where is he?
He's actually South Bend, Indiana.
Oh, okay, that's so cool.
Yeah,
what a bro.
He is. He sends me stuff all the time, and he's awesome. So,
okay, so
Bernie, the founder of this feast. Here's to you, sir.
Here's to Bernie. Cheers to Bernie.
That's excellent.
So, Stephen, I have to off the bat. So, I've drank a lot of old fashions in my life, but then when I was at your house. Was bar none to this day, to this minute, the greatest old fashioned that I've ever had. And we tried to recount it last time. I still don't remember. Like the way my mind remembers it is you got a wooden box from a man in Italy. And I know that there's more to it, but like it was the greatest. I remember where I was sitting when I first tasted it. So if you don't mind, before we move into like the actual thing, would you tell me what was that?
This is the man that sent me the wooden box.
Is it really?
Full circle.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So
So let me. So 2018 went on a pilgrimage to Rome. Uh, I'll get into this later, but I'm with Legatus, and this guy's a Legatus member in South Bend. He and his wife.
Okay.
So, of all places in Rome, we go to a speakeasy in Rome, and you've met Nate Wine. He's now a coworker with
Okay.
Legatus with corporate travel, and anyways, we got to talking about old fashions. Bernie says, "Let me have your address." And within a couple of days, I'm still in Rome. My wife Krista calls me and says, "You got something, a huge box in the mail, and I don't know what it is." And I said, "Well, open it up." And so she opens it, and it's this huge crate. It's got a bullet rye bourbon. The bitters, which at that time were just they weren't just, it was a dash fire bitters and another type of unique bitters. He had the sugar cubes, he had the ice molds. I mean, it was like a whole pack.
Oh, really?
All I had to do was drink it. So and he had a recipe card too, so that was what I had made you.
Okay.
One of the things I think that takes this old fashioned to the next level is the Luxardo cherries. I don't know. Have you had the Luxardo cherries?
Nope.
These cherries that are in like a very thick syrup. And
Okay.
so, I put a little bit of the syrup in with the cherry, and it's a game changer. I'll send you some.
I was going to write it down. Luxardo. Is it spelled how it sounds?
It is Luxardo.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Gosh. Yeah, it was the greatest.
funny. He's it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Seriously, that's awesome. Okay. Well, then, so all right, we've all
Tell
got
me-
to.
I'm,
Right.
I mean, I'm curious to hear more about your rich Catholic people's club, this Legatus thing.
You're a funny guy.
It's not intentional, but so wait, you say Legatus? That's what you're the executive director of. Is that a Latin word, and what does it mean?
It is. So it's a Latin word for ambassador, and it comes from 2 Corinthians, where St. Paul calls us all to be ambassadors for Christ.
So, does anybody ever bring up that you guys pronounce your own name wrong?
Why? Because we don't say legatus.
Legatus, yeah. Just throwing it out there. Just
Do people bring it up?
No.
Okay.
just me, I guess
No,
just
no.
me.
My
Actually-
problem is, okay.
I took a lot of Latin, so I feel pretty confident in my Latin pronunciation. So I'm prepared.
You're comfortable enough in your Latin to say it wrong.
Whoa, guys.
No, but okay, so
agree to
tell-
disagree here.
Tell us about Legatus a little bit, because a lot of people may have never heard of it.
Yeah. So some may think of it as a rich man's club, or
I jest completely. We're gonna hear what it really is now.
it is not. It's an organization that was founded by the founder of Domino's Pizza, Tom Monahan. He used to own the Detroit Tigers when they won the World Series in 1984,
I didn't know that.
he also founded my alma mater, Ave Maria University and Ave Maria School of Law,
Wow.
amongst other things. Ave Maria Radio, Thomas More Law Center, a ton of things. He's going to be a saint one day. He just turned 84 actually on the Feast of Annunciation. So
Wow.
he back in the 80s was a part of a secular organization called YPO, Young Presidents Organization. And at that time, this organization would kick you out at age 50. And he was speaking at a conference in Venice, and he had an invitation from the Cardinal of Detroit to come to a private mass with Pope John Paul II in his private chapel in Rome. And of course, in those days, Tom had a private plane and could just hop over and do things like that. So he went to Rome, went to this private mass, and it was immediately after this mass that he had the inspiration to start an organization for Catholic CEOs and presidents, solely with the focus of helping them learn more about their faith and live it in all aspects of their life. So our mission is to study, live, and spread the Catholic faith in our personal, business, and professional lives. So it's not so much about personal wealth as it is about the organizations you run in the sphere of influence. So it was Tom's goal that if we could really catechize um, Catholics and people that claim to be Catholic, then we can do so much more for God and for the kingdom, as opposed to some of these people nowadays that say they're Catholic but don't actually practice their faith and don't know it. So that's what we do. It's our sole focus. We don't do any fundraising, special projects, soliciting. It's a chapter organization. So we've got 90 chapters across North America and about 5,000 members across the world.
That's awesome. And I appreciate that thorough explanation because I intentionally put you on the spot because I wanted you to have to defend your mission statement right from the start so that people could get a really good idea of what it is. So I'm glad I did it that way because that was perfect.
And let me just say, as the chief executive director officer in command of Legatus, you did a great job
In all operations.
in all operations. No, like the first one that you ever got me, or I think actually Father Mike got me hooked up with, was in Pittsburgh. I spoke once in Pittsburgh and then twice in Ann Arbor and once in Orlando. And like, I always have to brace myself when I go because every single time I've gotten, I get to come in, I just speak for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I meet amazing people. But like, I go home just like laid low and humbled by the people that you meet, like, and I don't know, their heart for Christ. You can it starts with mass. Everything starts with mass. Every chapter meeting starts with, and it's just insane. It's just an amazing atmosphere of, I guess humility is one of the words, but yeah.
I'm on my now 8th year with the organization, and it's such a fulfilling and gratifying organization to be a part of because I get to live my faith.
Yeah.
And I get to meet these amazing people that are actually living their faith, and people that, when you go to a Legatus meeting, these aren't the hoity-toity type of wear their money on their sleeve type of people. These are people that are truly faithful. That it truly is fulfilling its mission.
I love that. And for those of you who watch our Old Fashioned Catholic shows, if you watch our interview with Troy King, the pirate dentist, he is a chapter leader of a Legatus group in Florida. So you can get an idea of what kind of people they are. We had a fun interview with him, and he exemplifies exactly what you two are saying right now, just in that little time I talked with him.
Troy is like the assistant to the regional director of Legatus.
He's an amazing guy that I can only hope to be one day.
I sent him the link. Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say, in terms of being a good father and whatnot, not in terms of wanting to have 19 kids.
Yeah. There's a difference. No, I sent him the link to tonight's meeting in the hopes that he might. I don't know. It's midnight where you are, so he's on the East Coast too, and I don't think he'll drop in. But
catch the reruns. So
yeah, he has to be awake messing with people's teeth. Or kids' teeth, I guess. Oh, but so I wanted to ask. So you've been with Legatus for I think I've heard it pronounced that way. Actually, my problem is I tell people no one I know. I'm a newer Catholic. I'm only 13 years old, and so people I tell about it, they're like, it sounds like the goddess, and I always have to explain. But anyway.
That's what Siri thinks it is too.
Oh, is it really? So you've been with them for 8 years. So how did you end up with them? Where are you from? What did you do?
So I am originally from Maryland, hence the shirt. This is the Maryland colors, Maryland flag.
Okay.
Originally from Maryland, grew up there. I actually studied a little bit in the minor seminary in the novitiate with the Legionaries of Christ, and then I discerned out, and within a couple of months, joined the Marine Corps. Marine Corps was kind of a family tradition. My dad was in the Marines, and several of my brothers were in the Marines, and so I went in the Marine Corps, and of course started boot camp the day we invaded Iraq. And so that was a good day to pick. After about a year, I went into the reserves, and that's when I met my now wife through a mutual friend. She said she was going to go to Ave Maria University, and I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, at the Naval Air Station. And as a reservist, you do 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. So it's I went into the reserves to go to school. So ended up going down to Ave Maria, and went into the reserves so that I could take advantage of the GI Bill, only to find out that because Ave Maria was such a new school, I couldn't take advantage of the GI Bill.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so towards the end of the first semester, Chris and I were starting to look into other schools, and we decided to stick it out. And lo and behold, the second semester, Tom started a scholarship for Marines. Turns out he was a Marine in the 50s, late 50s, spent some time over in Japan. And he started the scholarship for Marines. Well, I'm the only Marine that was at the school at the time. So, but
You didn't know him though at the time?
No, did not.
Okay. That's so
I mean,
crazy.
that was the ironic part. So that is what kept me at Ave Maria, the scholarship. Then I was working for security, and Tom ended up having a wrist surgery and needed a driver. And my boss at the time was really close with Tom and said, I want you to drive Tom. And I said, okay. And Tom was driving an Audi RS6 at the time, which Tom tells me it's a very rare car that he only knows of Tom Brady having one of these.
Nice.
And I'm sure his was the only one that smelled like garlic bread.
He actually had a twin up here in Michigan. You've got to have it in both locations.
Yeah, right. You do. You have to.
As you do. So
You do.
yeah, so that's how I started driving for Tom. So I drove him. He mainly drove himself when he was in Florida, but when he went to and from the airport, obviously he needed somebody to drive him, so that was me. And we just built a relationship. I remember the first time I drove him, he always carries a piece of paper, cardstock piece of paper in his breast pocket. And I remember saying something to him, and it was actually a quote. It was, if you shoot for the moon, you're destined to hit a star. And he wrote it down, and I thought, yes, I'm in his book. I'm going to make it big time now. Anyways, fast forward, I graduated Ave Maria. I ended up working for him until 2013. So 2005-ish to 2013. Between him and security, ended up being the director of security for Ave Maria for a little bit of time. And then he got us in 2013. So it's been a great adventure.
So you went from being the chauffeur, the driver, to the chief executive assistant to the director of operations special ops.
Special. There you go.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It is. It's been a great journey.
That's crazy, man. So were you, I guess, through all that, I don't know if this is prying or not, but through all that, like faith life wise, were you always, did you get raised Catholic? Were you always strong in your faith? What's that been like throughout?
Yeah. I was a cradle Catholic. In fact, growing up, my parents had a Catholic bookstore for several years. Always went to mass every Sunday, occasionally daily mass. When I went into the Marine Corps, though, so I told you I was in the seminary, and that really solidified my formation.
Oh, I suppose. Sure, yeah.
As a Catholic, and just learning how to pray and whatnot. So when I went into the Marine Corps, that actually solidified my faith a lot, because when you go into an environment, which I'm sure you're familiar with as a missionary, but when you go into an environment where you are kind of the odd one out, or kind of one of the only people, you're given a choice of either you join the other people or you stand out. And of course I stood out. In fact, I remember going to a Bible study when I was stationed in 29 Palms in comm school, and I was invited by a bunch of Protestants, and I went to this Bible study, and it became the test Stephen on his faith.
Yeah, right.
And they were actually surprised that as a Catholic, I knew a lot of the answers to my faith.
Sure.
interestingly enough, I in the seminary I had gone to school with Patrick Madrid's son.
Oh, really?
So I had all of Patrick's, where is that in the Bible or where is that in Scripture?
Sure.
Which I love those little books, but um, so that really solidified my faith. And then going Ave Maria was just a great opportunity to continue to go deeper and to date a girlfriend that we would go to daily mass, we would go on the rosary, and it's just the university created such an environment to cultivate the faith and cherish it. So that
That's cool.
yeah, I've been blessed in that aspect of having my faith. And I did serve a deployment over in Iraq, and there too, I became very close with the chaplain. We could only, where I was stationed, we could only have mass once a month. So we would
Okay.
sometimes have communion services weekly, sometimes not. But again, it was just a moment where you define yourself, I think.
So
Mhm.
when you were over there then and you were only allowed to have mass once a month, because we lived in Alaska for a month for a medical rotation, and the church that we were in the little town we were in, they only had a priest come every 8 weeks. And that was, I mean, obviously, like for some, it would cause you to kind of fall away because I don't know, that's really infrequently they would have communion services. But for some, though, that really solidified them because they would just hang on as much as, I mean, like just hang on with everything they had for that 8th week or whatever. So for you, did you find that like, were there fellow, people with you who were Catholic, or was it just you and the chaplain, or what was that like? What was that like?
So I mean, where we were stationed, it was actually Haditha Dam up in northwestern Iraq. We were a boat company patrolling the Euphrates River, and so where we were with a bunch of other units. But because of the location, a Catholic priest would fly in once every 3.
Oh, okay.
Um, and when we did, I mean, it was a conglomerate. But I do remember when we went down to Ramadi a couple months into my deployment, which was a much more dangerous area. But there, I could go to mass every week because it was an army base, and on army
All
base,
right.
a little more of the luxuries, shall we
Sure.
say.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I befriended the priest, and I did get several of my fellow Marines to come to mass with me, and I think it was good for them to see and to experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow. So do you think that you will I mean, are you gonna do what you're doing now for an indefinite amount of time, just until God says otherwise? What does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I've been in this particular position as executive director for now 4 years, and I really, as I said, I love it. And when you're, I guess, in this type of position, it takes you a little bit to kind of steer a ship, and so I feel like we're just kind of getting into stride with a lot of the initiatives that we are doing. In terms of growing the organization, solidifying our base, and really solidifying what our mission is. Because obviously, Tom's not going to be here forever. I
Sure.
mentioned 84. He's still the chairman and CEO. Um, but I'm really, I guess, cognizant of ensuring that we fulfill the mission that he had in his mind 35 years ago. So yes, for the foreseeable future, I've got 5 kids, and we moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan, to fulfill this position, and I do find it to be very vocational.
So with COVID, then how is that like for your job specifically? Like actually, you know what? Pause. The second question we always ask every guest is like with no BS, with true honesty, in all actuality, how was your day today? Like, how did your day go today? And you have to be honest.
Today was a very hectic day. Uh, it's a Monday, so it's meeting Monday professionally. Last night, actually, I Krista and I are mentors for a friend that you know, Nick, for their he's getting married, and so I had our chaplain. We had an evening last night. He spent the night at our house actually, and so then this morning he went and did more sessions with the couple. And it's always hectic when you host people, especially when you've got a family and a bunch of kids, and they wake up and you don't want to disturb the guests and whatever. So it's, I always think this is a great idea and it's good, but then I never consult Krista beforehand, which she's a saint. So anyways, it started out that way. I, I'm hiring some new people, so that's been stressful. We have a new dog, and I had to take her to get she got fixed a couple weeks ago, so I had to go get that taken care of, and it was just one of those running around days. And then my wife also leads helps with the nonprofit. And so she had a call tonight, and so she's also going through her master's. So there's just been a lot. How was your day?
My day was
that's
great.
crazy, man. That day is crazy.
I know. In comparison, nothing, not even comparable.
This helps.
No, I know. I don't know if you probably, of course you do. I got to stay at your house, and I didn't notice your kids at all. But like one of the very few times in my life that I've just slept through any alarm that I had put on. And I don't know if you remember or if it was just noise that woke me up. Did you? I don't remember, but I remember being really panicked because I was not ready to go.
It didn't take you long to suit up and get ready to go.
I usually have my stuff like waiting anyway, but like I felt so stupid. I'm the guest at somebody's house, and it's just me.
4 a.m. Nick.
It's true. We did well. All those old fashions from Bernie's old fashions.
Bernie.
What would you? What? Yeah. Cheers to Bernie's. Did you say God rest his soul?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still
someday.
It's a prophecy. So what would you say, like, I guess maybe for your entire life then, what would be the biggest faith leap, like, step of faith that God has asked you personally to do?
Wow. So I think one of the biggest, I say it's for me, but I think it was for my wife and I, is we moved to Texas as a family. When I first started with Legatus, we had never lived away from family or friends, so we were going into a completely new environment. I know it's not China or
no, it's the same though.
But for us, it was a rough transition. You go into a place, you don't know anybody, don't have any family there. We had 3 kids at the time, and just going on. And then I was traveling a lot, so I know it was tough on my wife to adjust. And the church community in Texas is very different than from where we grew up in Maryland and even Michigan. The churches in Texas are like the mega churches. There's church we went to. I mean, there was 10,000 people every Sunday. We had 3 full-time priests. So trying to get a relationship with the priest was tough, but
sure.
We did make some lifelong friends in Texas. And so that's the first that comes to my mind is that experience.
Do you have any big unknowns coming up? Any big jumps, any leaps? You don't have to. It's just a question.
Maybe more kids.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You guys are still so young. You got plenty of time.
A great adventure.
I don't know that we have any too crazy of adventures coming up. Our oldest actually starts high school in a year, so I think that's on the radar. Which we've got some good schools here, but yeah, that's it.
COVID. I was going to ask earlier, So with COVID, like that affected everybody differently, every, organization differently. How did that affect you guys just as a family, as the Henleys? And then how did it affect Legatus as a whole?
Yeah. It actually, for my family, I wouldn't say it affected us too much, other than it affected us in a positive way. So starting off, it was stressful. Working from home, the kids were at home, we're still going to school. Um, from our office, I can see where the kids are working at the dining room table, and it's a little stressful when Krista's trying to keep the kids quiet, and I'm on professional calls,
Sure,
and
right.
that's stressful. But I will say, since it's Holy Week, last Holy Week, it was last Good Friday was amazing. I mean, we went on like a 5 mile walk. We prayed the rosary. We stopped at we have priest friends that are close by, so I stopped there. He heard all the confessions of all the kids.
Awesome.
We went to their school, which is kind of in the 5 mile square here. So we did the rosary station, seven sorrows. Like, it was just a very prayerful experience that we took advantage of, because what do you do during COVID but go on walks outside?
That was last year.
That was last year.
Yeah.
Uh, so and then I had a brother visit for like 6 weeks. A brother and his daughter visit,
Wow.
and we built a tree house.
Oh
Nice.
man.
Yeah, it's a pretty, I would like to think, an impressive one. So uh, it was, it affected us a lot of positive ways. For me, though, I mean, I've been unaffected, and I still, none of my immediate family, or even relatives that I know of, have gotten COVID. So, I don't. We're not the type of family that hides under
Sure.
bushel basket.
Yeah.
We're living my life, or we're living our lives, and so be it. In terms of our organization, though, Legatus,
I
let's
appreciate
start
it.
that way now. Um, it was tough, of course. Legatus is very experiential, so
Sure.
you go to these events, as Nick said. It's Each event starts with rosary, confession, and mass, and then you have a cocktail reception, dinner, and a speaker. Um, but with having 90 chapters, and as we saw, like all 50 states, they were going through different phases all at the different times, and so it was just kind of a continuous, like, sine wave of what was going on in the country.
Sure.
And we, like, I think many organizations, created a lot of online opportunities, virtual opportunities, and I think we adapted pretty well, and we took advantage of the time, when we didn't have to lay anybody off, thank God. We When we did have people leave to go to other organizations, or for whatever reason, we had a couple employees that had kids and decided they were going to be stay-at-home mothers. We tried to be prudent and just didn't fill positions.
Sure.
So I feel like we handled it pretty well. And
Did the chapters? Because I know that every day you guys at 3, you guys do the chaplet, because I've tuned in with that a bunch. But did you guys start doing chapter meetings over Zoom or over something like that, or did they kind of just halt for a while?
No, no. Well, we had a couple that halted completely, which is a shame.
Sure.
We shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done that. But we did virtual opportunity, or virtual meetings. So
Sure.
the chaplain would meet, the chaplain would say mass sometime, or we do a rosary, and then you'd have speaker. Some chapters got very creative, and they do virtual, like, wine tastings, or they would, a lot of our chapters have members that have restaurants. So to help them out as well, they would have food delivered to the different members,
Oh, sweet.
have the virtual experience. So everybody's still kind of eating the same thing, having a community experience. Some,
Nice.
even now we still kind of do a hybrid where some, like in California, for instance, it's tough to have, up until recently, it was tough to have meetings. So
Right.
what they would do is they would have rosary and mass at the church, because you usually can gather at the church, and then have the speaker at the church, and then you would just leave afterwards instead of going to a country club or whatever for dinner. So there have been a lot of modifications, but it's been really um, like a proud moment for me to see all the chapters really live out that subsidiarity kind of concept of figuring things out and stepping up to the challenge. So
It'll be so interesting after all of this to see the ways that people have gotten innovative and have like just adapted, because that's what people do. You adapt, especially as communal people, you adapt. And so whether it's an organization or just a church group or just families, like people have found ways to still be as close as possible without being close. So it'll be so neat to see what stuff stays like after, if, God willing, ever there is a time when we're in the clear and everybody just, and it's fine. All the things settle. And then it'll be interesting to see which things stay. And just because they're good, because, oh, wow, in this, pandemic and all this stress, we found a good thing. I know Mass has been different, like for everybody. We're still at the point in the Duluth diocese where, at least in International Falls, we are not allowed to do any of the responses in song. We can't respond in any way. We can speak the things, but we can't sing them. I don't know. I don't get why, but that's where we're at. We're still like, so Mass is still, it's still different. I mean, more and more people are coming. Like Palm Sunday, I noticed more and more people were there than before. But Kevin, so how has it been for you, like Mass? How has that translated for you in Duluth? Because I'm 3 hours north of you.
can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
Kevin, are you a tradi Latin goer?
No, not in particular. Nope. I like it. I mean, I sang at one a few weeks ago, but yeah. So it has been in our area. People just don't sing anyways, so it really hasn't really felt any different.
Northern Minnesota.
Yeah. The thing I've noticed is that the extra quiet and the extra pauses and all the cadence has allowed the Mass to become, for many people, I think, more contemplative, the way that it is supposed to be. I think that it has also afforded a lot of churches an opportunity to work on their music where they just haven't been able to for years and years and years, have not been able to focus on that. And now they can, because they basically got this reset where nobody's singing. So the pastors who are motivated can be like, all right, here's what we're going to start doing now. And I've seen that actually work really well in some churches. So that's been my experience. I saw that, in our state, at least, singing is allowed in church. So it just is a matter of bishops getting it to their priests and priests telling their congregations, which is hit or miss,
Has the Diocese of Duluth had trouble since we don't have a bishop, or no? I don't know.
It's certainly tough, without a bishop, but he's doing awesome. He's doing the best that he can with all the extenuating circumstances layered on top of each other.
Yeah. So Stephen, we lost our bishop. That was 2019. He passed away on first Sunday of Advent, right? Our bishop was on his way to say Mass, walking across the parking lot, and was dead before he hit the ground. And so we've been waiting for a new bishop, and then we had a bishop elect, and then there was some scandal, and so we don't have a bishop elect, and so now we're just waiting on one. So it has been chaos over here in the Duluth diocese.
Kind of such a shame, though, that like we're waiting on the clear to be told that we can sing or go to Mass. Like we had our summit, which is our national event. We did have it in Florida in January, and one of our speakers referred to it as like our catacomb moment, like
Sure, yeah.
which I also recall, Pope Benedict saying, the church is going to have to get smaller to get stronger, and I don't know. I find it frustrating that we're waiting on the Andrew Cuomo's of the world, and these.
Yeah, this is something I've been thinking about, and maybe you guys have thoughts on this, but when I'm in the congregation, if the choir is singing some lame song about or to ourselves, and it's just not worth singing, I don't want to sing. And on the flip side, if the choir is doing something really beautiful and skillful, I don't want to sing. So, like, to me, there's nothing is lost because
Right.
the churches that have bad music, I'm just not singing anyways, and most people aren't. And the churches that have good music, I'm not singing. I want to hear it. So
That's
I don't know. What
awesome.
do you guys think about that?
Well, Kevin has a background. Kevin is trained, like that was your degree, right? Was music, like vocal. Like, so for me, I'm like, I don't remember who said it, but whoever it was way in the early church had said that, like during the great amen, that the amen would shake the temples of the idols in the neighboring city. So like for me, at any part of mass, that's always the one where I do want to just, like, even now, even if I yell it, I would just like to I don't, of course, because, Scandinavian
That
and
reminds
northern.
me, speaking of
Yes.
music coming back into churches, maybe the cringiest thing that's ever happened to me in a Catholic church happened on Sunday after church. So I was sticking around afterwards because I had been singing and wanted to get communion. And so I was waiting. There was another lady that was waiting for me because her Eucharist had fallen out of her hands and rolled like back into the pews, and nobody could find it. A guy found it and ate it, but she had no idea where it went. So she didn't get to receive communion. So we're both waiting there. And this tall, very sophisticated kind of gentleman with some people, they clearly were not from the area. They were visiting or something, stands at the front of the cross aisles and just starts belting out Ave Maria. Ave Maria. And he clearly was a trained singer, but clearly was not a good singer. And so, like, there are still people hanging around. And the first verse of Schubert's Ave Maria takes like at least a minute. It's
It takes
long.
forever. It takes
So
forever.
he gets through the whole thing a cappella, and everyone's just trying to ignore it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, finally. And then he goes into the second verse and just keeps singing.
Did they just let him?
No, it was after church, so it's like people just kind of moved around it, and he just sang really loud. And his arm, Ave Maria.
Oh my gosh. That guy was just waiting the whole pandemic to be like, finally, this is my moment.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend, I have a friend, well, you kind of know him, but a friend who joined the church a while after I did. And he was a worship leader in our Protestant church as well. And he was leading worship at a camp. And he were you there?
I was there.
And he told everybody, I think it was before mass, he told them about how, the great amen would shake the halls of the temple. And so we should join in that or whatever. And then mass started and mass went. And when it got to the great amen, this kid just screamed, amen! Like, and it scared the heck. No one knew it was coming. They didn't feel the power of it. It was just the worst moment ever. So bad. I didn't know you were there, Kevin.
I told you I used to work security for Ave Maria. You can't walk into an empty church or an empty chapel and not want to like try to sing so that you can hear, like, do I have that voice? I just haven't tried it, like
maybe I could do that.
But to be this guy and do it in a church full of people, like that's pretty ballsy.
Well, so wait, you're saying that when you were head of security at some point, you walked in there alone and just gave it a shot?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Now I did a lot of Gregorian chant when I was in the seminary, so
okay.
I had a little bit of formation, but
see, I have none of that. I just want to. So if I get a chance in an open, like cathedral type building and no one's there, it's either Eye of the Tiger or it's American Pie. I just start singing, long time ago. I can still remember how the music used to make me smile. So it's never church stuff. I don't know any of the church stuff. It's always the stupid stuff, but it's in concept.
A little more with Kevin and he'll teach you some things.
Yeah. You guys.
Yeah, stick around, Nick. You might learn a thing or two.
Whatever. Shoot. Trying to think of what else. I had one other thing I was going to ask.
Well, you mentioned Kevin in your story about the woman dropping her host. Today, as I was putting my girls to bed, my 9-year-old said, she was really sad today because she was in mass and she wasn't feeling good, so she had to go to the bathroom. But when she came back, they had already distributed communion, and she was so sad. And I was like, she was authentically like
Yeah.
disappointed and sad, and she's the one that I'm just holding out hope that she becomes a nun.
That's awesome.
Had four daughters, 5 kids. And I told all 4 of them that they're all going to be nuns. So I'm not paying for 4 weddings.
Yeah.
Good path.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Dominican sisters are Mary Mother of the Eucharist right down the road. So they walk by every day when they go on walks and things.
Oh yeah.
That's
And
so cool.
I just wonder what it must be like for a non-Catholic on this road to see these nuns in full habits, and they're all very joyful and young. But such a witness too.
Yeah. Just a stark contrast to what's around them. It is awesome. We have that in one of our neighborhoods here in town. Some sisters, and they will go on their morning rosary walk every morning through a pretty rough neighborhood. And they've had many people stop and talk to them, and it's a great witness.
It reminds me of one of our older episodes was Sister West Point, Sister Anna Marie. We had her on. She's currently in Scotland, but she's like that. She's just this she speaks like 5 languages or something, but so she's really intellectual, but she's this solid, happy person. No matter, like, first time you meet her, she's just so warm. Yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully she's doing well over there. Kevin, did you have anything else?
I think we need a toast from our guest.
So I didn't prep you, unless you remember from last time, Stephen, but the guest always has to make a toast.
Well, how about to a blessed Holy Week for all of us? That the Davidsons figure out their future mission life.
Holy crap.
Right? Or do you have an update for us?
I got no update. I got blank. So keep that toast going.
That the Davidsons continue living their fiat moment, right?
Yeah.
And we live our best Holy Week ever, and
Yes.
and then rise with the Lord with the resurrection, and be joyful Catholics, and embody what these nuns and have truly embodied as joyful disciples of Christ. So cheers.
Cheers. Good on you.
Sláinte for your Sláinteva for your Scotland sister.
Launch. Is that the word?
Is it?
Sláinteva. It's Sláinte in Ireland, and Sláinteva.
Sláinte. I like it.
I like it a lot. It's great.
Yeah. So.
All right, Kevin, close us out. You always do.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Old Fashioned Catholics. We hope that you enjoy this video and that you check out some of our other interviews with other awesome Catholics who we will continue to find in the cracks of this earth. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
The cracks of this earth?
What are you talking?
I don't know.